I was just gonna leave with the car to go and make another copy of the interior with some, you know, the plastic wrapping around it to keep it from messing up. And as I was leaving, the truck arrived with this 10 centimeter thick piece. It's about 7 meters long. Anyway, that arrived, and also some more wood here for our deck, so we can keep working again. Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm MP, and we just bought a boat that needs a little bit of work done.
We are both rookies when it comes to boat ownership and carpentry, so this is going to be a steep learning curve.
Luckily, we found an amazing team of shipwrights who accepted the mission of bringing our boat back to life, and are now rebuilding Yabá with hand tools, ancient knowledge, and a lot of passion.
Join us on this thrilling journey and wish us luck. This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
Got the feeling in your bones, make me feel right at home. How does it well, keep me dancing till I'm dead. 'Cause I could run a mile like this, get over these things like this. The sun has got me on my track, I ain't never looking back. Voice will echo me no phone. Ruled by the laws above. Nature shows me, makes me tall. I could climb this mountain now, rise above the clouds and see. Well, oh, the fears that kept me strong. Never did I mean no wrong. 'Cause I ain't looking.
On our previous episode, when we started destroying the interior of Yabá, we got so many comments asking, wouldn't it have been easier to just build a boat from scratch? And guess what? Even that question is being answered on our website that was done with Squarespace. So if you go to sailingyabá.com, you'll see on the top that we have a frequently asked questions tab. And for example, here we answer when was Yabá built and where? What kind of wood was it built originally? What kind of timber we're using to build it right now? All these questions have been answered here. You can see there are so many others, like for example, what does MP stand for, which is my name, and also that question that if it wasn't easy to build a boat from zero, or if it was worth it to rebuild Yabá. We answered that as well. And I want to show you how easy it is to just add things here on Squarespace. So if you see here, I can add headlines, lists, gallery, images, a quote, a text, anything with just a couple of clicks. In this case, I want to show you how it is to add the tab of frequently asked questions. So here, this is the model I chose, and I'm going to type a question. Have you subscribed to our channel yet? If you have, thank you so much. You are epic. And that's how easy it is to add stuff on your website with Squarespace. So if you still don't have your own website, make sure to go to squarespace.com/sailingyabá, grab your discount code and start building now, because it's so easy that it can be done from anywhere. Like for example, now we're going surfing. Let's go!
So these little temporary columns have been placed. Of course, they act as zero structure. They're just to show where the real columns will go. The reason I wanted to do this first is to play around with where the windows will go and how big we can make the windows or something like that. There'll be 3.5 centimeters sticking out of here, and this is where the window will be attached to. So the window will be, we're still deciding the materials, but it will be kind of squeezing to be fastened from the inside and the outside to make sure no water comes in. So now the real deal, the real columns are going in. They're about 7 centimeters thick. What do you call this? That thick. This is about wide, and they're going to be fastened hard onto the boat because that's going to hold the roof structure up as well, and also going to be holding the windows in place. So we've managed to cut some more columns out of some old scrap wood that was used for the frames and other parts of the boat. So they're going to be put in the boat right now. There was one more missing on the port side, which is being done right now. And then now we've got Luis, who is a new helper on our team. Welcome, Luis. He's actually Zeka and Toninho's cousin. So him and Elio are busy fastening all the columns to the lowest plank over here. Over there with two 3/8 of an inch threaded bars, stainless steel, some washers and nuts, and then we've got Nico and Nezo fastening or making more of the columns, finishing the one on the port side, and then when they've done that they can already start on the starboard side. So that's almost done. I'm very excited to have this done because then we can start finishing, putting some walls around the housing area and start looking at windows, keeping it cleaner inside, more watertight, looking at caulking it and all that stuff. So that's going. It's a super nice day, so everything's nice to be doing it outside without rain or a lot of wind, and it's going really well. So all the columns are being made out of scrap wood from the boat, and all we need to do now is plane the top of this to find if there's any sapwood. If there isn't, we can use it. No sapwood on this, so it can be used. Unfortunately, over here you can see that the flattener is out of commission. This is what turns around and scrapes the top of whatever goes through here off to make it all one size. However, one of the wheels is the cogs. It's a cog, these things. One of them is broken, so everything until that gets fixed has to be done with a planer, which takes a lot more time and is less accurate normally, but I'm sure these guys can do a really good job at flattening with a planer. So until that's fixed, everything's going to be done with the planer, and now the measurements are just being made, and then this will go up, and it's the last column before all the columns are in place. All the columns are now in the right place. They still have to be fastened up at the top, which is not an issue for now because they have been fastened at the bottom, and it means we can start placing the lowest plank, which is going to be the only plank that is going to be under the windows. So what you'll be able to see from here is, from here 15 centimeters up is where the plank will go all across on both sides, and based on that we're going to decide, well, we're not going to decide, the windows are going to be placed on that, so we can take the measurements of the windows after that. So they're actually cutting the pieces down there. The bottom part is, let's see if I could do it, flat like so, and all the parts on top of it are like with this little joint to prevent any water from coming in, where we will also apply some Sikaflex. So this first line of planks is up on the port side, and I think it's amazing. what the next step is. We could do it on the starboard side, but they're working there, so we're going to start putting some planks on top of this where there won't be windows, so they'll be nailed onto some beams without crossing to the other beam, leaving an opening, so the plank will come from here to here, for example, allowing a window to be where I am and over here, because the windows have to be fastened onto planks and they can't just be fastened onto one of these. So that's what's going to be done now. So we've got lots of leftover pieces that we can use to put in certain places where we know there will be wall and no window.
What is this handsome guy doing?
I'm making sure we don't get rained on when we sleep.
Will that work?
We'll see.
Okay, can you explain your work of art?
This port side is done. We've still got to sand a little bit in the front, but these planks are all glued together with Sikaflex, and some of it of course came out as the planks were being pressed together, and then of course some places it didn't get pushed out, and that's where I'm going over right now with some more Sikaflex to make sure it's all completely sealed. This is all going to be sanded down still, so it's all nice and flat, and what we should see later is just one little black stripe in between each plank, so it's acting as a kind of caulking. Well, it is caulking, and then after that we can paint it, or at least put our primer on already, because right now the sun literally is on this half a day every day, and it's just going to dry out the wood, and we're not planning on leaving it bare later anyway, so we might as well put the primer on already to protect it. So of course we still need the top plank to go on top. We don't have any planks wide enough to actually cover the top, so it means we'd have like a 17 centimeter plank and then a 3 centimeter plank, which we don't want. So we want to wait until we can get our hands onto a 21 centimeter wide plank, so we can just close it in one go.
We sent a photo of the boat looking like this to our patrons, and one of them said that it is looking like a ball salon. So, ballroom. So I would like to invite you for a dance.
Without falling. How did you think that was? Good or bad?
So what are the next steps here? Our deck is still not ready. Our tabika, which is the coverboard, still not ready because we don't have wood to finish it. But of course we're continuing with other works because there's still a lot to do. So the next thing we have to do is add a plank here. That it had to be cut off, so we could add this structural plank, the Brassola plank here behind. But now we need to cover here that it's all the wires and stuff that go to the panel by the steering wheel. So this is going to be put now. We also need to continue with the walls of the superstructure. Now is the first time I'm officially saying this word because I know what it means. It's not the housing area, it's the superstructure of the boat. So we need to continue here on this side with the walls, and on this side over here you can see we already have all the windows gaps, but we still need to cover the top plank. So you can see this will be a window, this will be a window. We already have the shapes, but we still need to shut them on top, and that'll happen soon as well. The fridge. It's been on our to-do list for a while to remove it from the way, and
we've just been lazy. We should do it.
Yeah.
It was such a nightmare to move in the first place, and we've just postponed it ever since.
Yeah.
But it's going. Like that.
Is it gone?
You can pretend it's not there anymore.
I like it like this. That was easy.
Gone.
So we have two teams working here at the same time. We have Elio and Luis putting the plank that is under the steering wheel, covering all the wires. And here we have Nezo and Nico breaking a piece of our deck because it's a bit rotten, so we're going to replace that piece and put a new one. And that's what's going on. So now this plank in place, sanded, all smooth, all pretty, and this plank is about to go in. Woo.
That is so tough because I'm trying to not do it with a hard grit, but these discs wear out so quickly, so they just leave these burn marks, which means I have to change it again and go over it again gently. And the machine is so heavy, but it is looking nice, and I'm just trying to make it flat enough to put some Sikaflex in between. And when that Sikaflex dries, I can go over with a different sanding technique to make it nice and like flat. Right now it's just to take out all the big bumps and so on, which is the heavy work. Later I'll go over with probably like a manual sanding, something with the sanding plank or block to make it as flat as possible. But I don't know what's worse, many repetitions of a light sanding block or just something super heavy like this.
Just to say, we hope you're all having a nice week, that you're not too cold or not too hot or not too wet or not too dry. and not too full of sycophlex like we are.
So over on the starboard side, the walls of the superstructure is still being built. They're about halfway. Over here we've got Nezo and Nico actually looking at fixing, I don't know if you can see, there's a little gap in the wall over here of the pilot house, the cockpit area. So behind that there is a little deck plank that has been cut away so we could replace these beams. However, we don't want to leave it like this because it's a bit messy. But what the plan is now is to remove the whole little wardrobe cupboard area where the electric panels used to be, so that a new nice plank can be laid down, so it's like, well, it's watertight and nothing can fall through. And then after that, this hole can be covered with a new plank as well. That's it. So that's now been taken out. Luckily in one piece we had to sacrifice that little corner. You see here. So this stayed behind, unfortunately. Oh well, we managed to save the whole structure because of it. And the reason why we're also removing that is so we can place some of these columns. So there's one here, one there, one there, and one there. And what these do are actually just an extra support to hold up what's on this, because this is the part that's already fixed the boat, holding up the first plank, and it's also good to nail the rest, just to have some extra support. And over this is going to be, this is all going to be covered anyway. Ignore that, that's all going down in a bit. So yeah, that's going to be like this on the other side. And on the inside you can see there are two different woods. We wanted to keep the original one because it's actually not in a bad shape, but on the outside it's going to be flush and painted, so you won't notice the difference in them. And this is all going to be covered with, I don't know what yet. So our plans are changing so often. So we have lots and lots of wiring and hoses and everything running from, I'll show you actually, come. Whatever's new, it's quite a cool thing to see. It's being protected right now from here down the deck, make it with holes in the deck, down to the engine room and forwards and aft. So as we're redoing all this, and lots of the planks are actually not needed to have these huge gaps in anymore, we're putting the new planks on. Also towards the edge of this deck, on that side and that side, we had to cut a lot of the deck away to put new beams, and the brasola, which is this lowest plank of the housing area, to hold it all together. So long story short, all this is a bit messy, so we're cutting out the bad bits and the bits that have been cut before, and we're going to place new planks, deck planks, to make it look nice and also keep it nice and shut. And later we'll drill the holes through the top that we need for the wiring and hoses to run through. That's it. Over to you.
Okay, I want to know if I'm alone here or if you're with me. He uses a circular saw to cut this this away. This thing. Instead of just sanding it, he's so skillful. Are you with me there?
Yeah, those little slices. I like it.
I can break it with my hand. That's how thick it is. What? What?
So the reason we did this is now these are all nicely against here and the current deck. The reason why we're only doing this now and nothing else is because we need to put the columns on like on the other side, and the columns have to be placed on the deck that's going to stay. So we can't replace deck once the columns are on. So this has been done. We don't know what caulking we're going to use yet here, as this is where there shouldn't be any water. It's the dry area, so we'll probably just use Sikaflex. But for now we'll just leave it open and we'll see what happens next. So the next step is a column here, a column, two more here, one there, and one more in that corner. So that's next, and we hope you've enjoyed the view. So this will be made as nice as possible, because we don't know if we're going to leave it open yet or if it's all going to be closed. We'll see.
And it's done.
Before we head off, thank you Roger, George, Carl and Paul for joining us on Patreon or donating through PayPal. Thank you so much.